ICE slaps a hold of a Guatemala unlicensed driver on Highway 301. A villager storms out of a public hearing after he was called out on a parking problem. A driver was pinned under a golf cart after a rollover crash in the Villages. A modern home developer near the Villages has acquired land for $15 million. The wife of a villager admits that the husband had a gun while he was making threats to people in a golf cart. A shopper in a motorized cart rolling through Publix eating Snickers and shrimp. A Spruce Creeker allegedly points gun at another resident over politics. A villager's son enters plea after dead body was found in his mother's home. An abrupt lane change causes a car to flip in the Villages. How many holes in one's golf did we get this week? Letters to the editor. This and more coming up. Okay, we got some updates. Let's get them out of the way so we can get on with some new news. An arraignment date has been set for a villager facing a charge of DUI manslaughter after a woman's fatal fall from his golf cart. Richard Allen Keel, 58, of the village of Rio Ponderosa, is scheduled to be arraigned April 28th in Sumter County Court. He remains free on a $50,000 bond. And that'll be his update. Officials don't appear to be in a forgiving mood when it comes to a villager who was a stubborn holdout in the infamous Stone versus Sod battle. Gary Mang of the La Crescenta Villas owes $39,273 in fines and $14,323 in legal fees as a result of a public hearing in June 2023 in which he and several of his neighbors were found to be in violation of the decompliance rules for having stone rather than sod in their landscaping beds. Many residents of the La Crescenta Villas argue they were sold their homes with the stone landscaping already in place and were unaware of its violation of the deed restrictions. Some testify they bought their homes through property of the Villages and should have been warned the homes were in non-compliant. I do agree with that. With the exception of Mang, the other homeowners came into compliance and got rid of the stone. Their fines were eventually forgiven. However, Mang, who lives at 2810 Salamanca Street, refused to surrender and the battle went to court. Mang finally brought his property into compliance on February 3rd as the result of an injunction. Community Development District 2 supervisors in a meeting Friday at Savannah Center indicated they believe Mang should have to pay the price for his stubbornness and for dragging the matter into court. A lien has been placed on his house, and worst case scenario, the money could be recovered if a sale occurs. Officials indicated that while the fines might be forgiven, the legal costs shouldn't be borne by fellow residents, and I do agree with that. You know, you want to be stubborn. Why should I help pay for your legal problems that you caused us or that district? That's what I'm getting at. Here's one about the two sisters that got into a fight with a guy that said it was time to put their dog down. Remember that? And they all got into a big fight. The two sisters, I think, both got arrested. Two sisters in the Villages have escaped prosecution in a brawl at their home over a Rottweiler. The prosecutor's office has decided there is insufficient evidence to prosecute 61-year-old Mardell Elizabeth Coven and 59-year-old Melissa Ann Coven, who were arrested January 29th at their home on the historic side of the Villages. And that'll be their update. And this will probably be the most important one here. We reported this last week. The man has entered a plea in a homicide case after a woman was found dead in his mother's home in the Villages. Brian William Ducott, 48, is facing a charge of homicide in connection with the Halloween death of a woman of whom he was sexually intimate with after both were each injected with liquid cocaine at his mother's home in the village of Charlotte. Ducott continues to be held without bond at the Sumter County Detention Center. He has pleaded not guilty. He is being represented by attorney Jonathan Hackworth of Tampa. And that'll be his update. I believe that's going to be all the updates, so let's get on with some more news. Thanks everybody for coming to this Friday's News Updated. Let's get on with the news. An 88-year-old villager complained that he has been under siege over an oversized hedge that had been in his backyard for more than a dozen years. Daniel Malta of the Village of Springdale went before the Community Development District 4 Board of Supervisors on Friday seeking forgiveness for the $1,487 in fines he was facing over the hedge. We have been under siege over the hedge that had been in our backyard for 12 to 15 years, he told the board. Malta had been called to a public hearing in 2024 after a complaint was lodged about the hedge in the backyard of his home at 9335 Southeast 176th Street. Malta had insisted that it is ridiculous that a complaint had been filed about a hedge that had been gone unnoticed for so many years. The height limit on hedges is 4 feet, and his hedge is overgrown to an estimated 20 feet. Unfortunately for him, the $50 a day fines for noncompliance quickly began to add up. He brought his property into compliance in July, but he refused to budge on the fines. A neighbor accompanied Malta to the podium during Friday's public hearing at Savannah Center. He appears to be in failing health. Supervisor Don Deacon made a motion to forgive the $1,487 fines, but charged him $37 for the administrative costs of the case. However, Supervisor Carrie Sternberg scoffed at the idea that the administrative cost was only $37, citing staff time, mailings, and traveling to the home to take photographs to document the deed restriction violation. Sternberg voted against Deacon's motion and was joined in his dissent by Board Chairman Cliff Weiner. However, Supervisors Jim Murphy and Mark Hayes sided with Deacon, and the fines were forgiven in a 3-2 vote. What do you think? I see both sides there. County Road 470 connecting to Marsh Bend Trail will be permanently closed to through traffic as part of a planned construction project to improve roadway safety and traffic flow in the area. Message boards have been placed in the area to notify drivers of the upcoming closure. As part of the project, a cul-de-sac will be constructed at the end of 470, permanently restricting access to Marsh Bend Trail. Motorists are encouraged to plan ahead and adjust their routes accordingly. Alternative access points should be used for travel in and out of the area. Heads up! A man was pinned under a golf cart after a rollover accident in the Villages. The accident occurred shortly before noon Saturday near the intersection of Lester Drive and Kim Lane on the historic side of the Villages. Witnesses said the golf cart overturned when rounding the corner and the man was trapped under the weight of the vehicle. The Village's Public Safety Department quickly responded to the scene, extricated the driver, and uprighted the golf cart with the help of bystanders. The golf cart driver was transported to UF Health Spanish Plains Hospital in the Villages. The investigation into the accident was turned over to the Lady Lake Sheriff's Department. A villager was arrested after a road rage dispute over the use of a golf cart lane. Stephen Neil Kaufman, 68th of the village of El Cortez, was driving a sport utility vehicle at about 8 a.m. Monday on Avienda Central toward Rio Grande Avenue when he came upon a low-speed vehicle legally using the vehicular lane of traffic, as it is considered a street legal according to the Arrest Department of Lady Lake Police Department. And that's true. If your golf cart, any golf cart, if it's been deemed street legal, as long as you make it legal, and you have to do that to be street legal, license plate, insurance, registration, windshield wipers, all that kind of stuff. You can drive in the lane where cars are at. You're not required to be in a golf cart lane. But you're only allowed to be on roads, and check on this because I don't have a street legal, and so I don't worry about it. But I believe the law is you can only be on roads that are 40 or 45 miles an hour or less. You cannot be on any other road. And there's also a rule about what roads you can cross, just go straight across. And I don't know exactly what that is either. So I would call whatever county you're in, I would simply call to find out what those rules are. Kaufman pulled up next to the low-speed vehicle, and the native New Yorker began yelling that he should be using the golf cart lane. Kaufman pulled in front of the low-speed vehicle and slammed on his brakes. The operator drove around Kaufman's vehicle. Kaufman pulled alongside the low-speed vehicle, and he and the operator exchanged words. We can only guess what those words are. Trucker language? Both vehicles stopped, and Kaufman, armed with pepper spray, approached the low-speed vehicle operator who relies on a cane. The exchange happened near El Cortez Gate. The low-speed vehicle operator tried to explain to Kaufman the concept of street-legal golf carts. When Kaufman failed to back down, The low-speed vehicle operator used his phone to try and take photos of Kaufman and his vehicle. Apparently enraged, Kaufman knocked the other man to the ground and fled the scene. A description from the vehicle, the gate attendant's familiarity with Kaufman's SUV and gate camera surveillance, which showed the SUV's license plate, provided police with Kaufman's identity and address. When officers spoke to Kaufman at his home, he admitted he has a bad temper, and he has previously attended anger management courses. He told police those classes didn't work. You think? Kaufman was arrested on charges of battery on a person over the age of 65 and aggravated assault on a person over the age of 65. He was booked at the Lake County Jail and released after posting a $7,500 bond. I'm just going to guess he's a newbie to not know that there's street legal golf carts and then regular golf carts, and there's different rules for both. So, if you really don't know what the rules are, you really shouldn't be doing what he's doing. A man from Guatemala is being turned over to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement after being arrested for driving without a driver's license. A deputy observed a blue Chevrolet pickup truck traveling north on U.S. 301 at 6:10 p.m. Wednesday, according to the arrest report from the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. As he drove next to the driver's side window, he was able to see 30-year-old, name will be in the picture, I'm not even going to try, not wearing a seatbelt. The deputy conducted a traffic stop in the area of North U.S. Highway 301 and County Road 472. He then told this person the reason for the stop, and he handed over a Guatemalan passport to identify himself. The information was run through dispatch, who advised that they were unable to find a license for him and had no record of him, the report said. Further investigation revealed this person had been living in Florida for about 13 years, was gainfully employed, and had established a home in Apopka. Throughout his years of residency, he did not obtain a Florida driver's license or ID card, the report said. This person was arrested and charged with operating a motor vehicle without a driver's license. He was also issued a traffic citation for not wearing a seatbelt. He was transported to Sumter County Detention Center to be held without bond, wherein ICE placed a hold on him. A wife admitted to police that her husband had a gun while making threats to people traveling in a golf cart in the Villages. Terry Lee Shoemaker, 69, of the village of Shady Brook, was traveling in a vehicle with his wife Saturday night at Bar Boulevard when he came upon a golf cart traveling in the golf cart lane. The Michigan native began shouting that the golf cart belonged on the multimodal path. If he's in a golf cart lane, what does that tell you there, numbnuts? According to the arrest report from the Wildwood Police Department, Shoemaker began shooting the bird and grabbed a black in-collar pistol-like firearm and pointed it at the occupants in the golf cart. What is it with you people? You just act like you know everything around here and you don't know nothing. You're new to the game. When police went to Shoemaker's home to inquire about the incident, Shoemaker claimed that the people in the golf cart called his wife a bitch. He denied having a gun. However, Shoemaker's wife, who was interviewed separately by another police officer, admitted her husband had a gun in the glove compartment. She claimed she had prevented her husband from grabbing the gun, which she said was unloaded. Shoemaker was arrested on 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. He was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $10,000 bond. I'm going to say that when he gets home, Mommy's going to be in trouble for ratting on Daddy. That'd be my guess. Beware, be safe. Well, let's see what our friendly neighbors are doing next door in Spruce Creek. They get a little action once in a while. A resident of the Spruce Creek Del Webb community in Summerfield was arrested after he allegedly pointed a gun at a fellow resident over, are you kidding me, politics. James Robert Baker Jr., 67, was driving a golf cart through the 55-plus community on Saturday morning when he said he drove past a residence and heard a man screaming, "Republicans suck," according to an arrest report from the Marion County Sheriff's Office. Well, maybe some do. I don't know. The 69-year-old man told deputies he was simply in his garage talking to himself. Well, you must be talking awful loud for them to hear you clear out in the street. After hearing the derogatory declaration, Baker turned around his golf cart and pulled into the other man's driveway. Nah, I wouldn't have done that, because once you're on his property, you're putting yourself at risk. Baker pointed a gun at the man and slapped him, causing him to fall to the ground. The incident was captured on video surveillance. Baker fled, but deputies were able to track him down at his home, in part thanks to a bright green t-shirt he was wearing, emblazoned with the letters SCGCC Pickleball Club. When questioned, Baker said he never intended to shoot the other man. It doesn't make any difference. You can't point the gun at anybody, ever. Unless you intend to use it or your life's in jeopardy. Baker's wife allowed deputies to search the golf cart, and they recovered a gun, a black Taurus .357 Magnum revolver. Baker was arrested on charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and battery on a person over the age of 65. He was booked at Marion County Jail on a $20,000 bond. Politics. Are you kidding me? I'm not going to make a comment, because I'll just end up pissing a bunch of people off, because I just think this is stupid and ignorant. A villager who lost his driver's license due to a drunk driving arrest has been ordered to remove an inoperable vehicle from his driveway. The home of Wayne Vodder of the village of Rio Ponderosa was the subject of a decompliance hearing Friday before a Community District 1 Board of Supervisors at Savannah Center. A complaint was received December 26 about the home at 1405 San Jose Place due to overgrown grass and weeds, as well as the four-door Honda, which has no license plate. Apparently, it has been a long time since the vehicle has been driven. Community Standards has made multiple attempts to contact Vodder through phone calls, letters, and voicemails, but has received no response. The board ordered Vodder to bring the home into compliance. If he fails to do so, fines will be imposed, including a $50 daily fine each day the car remains in the driveway. In 2022, Vodder's license was revoked for 5 years, and he served 10 days in jail as a result of his May 29, 2022 arrest on a charge of driving under the influence. See, a complaint was made. If nobody complains, nothing gets done. All it takes is one complaint. And here's the thing that's really not fair, and I've said this 100 times, I'll say it again. The complaint should always be by somebody that has to verify that they live at least in your district, because I don't live in District 2. So ask yourself a question. Why would I go to District 2 and make a complaint? I don't live there. And I just think that would be fair. A villager was arrested after being stopped at a car wash for driving with a license suspended for driving under the influence. A deputy observed the driver of a silver Toyota HR-V, later identified as 58-year-old Brian Allen Levitt, of the village of Summerhill, in the left lane of County Road 466A at 1:35 p.m. Wednesday, according to the arrest report of the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. A check of the license plate revealed the registered owner of the vehicle did not have a driver's license. As a result, the deputy activated his emergency lights and conducted a traffic stop at Mr. Car Wash on County Road 466A in Wildwood. He then approached Levitt and asked for his driver's license. Levitt advised that he did not have one. The deputy asked him to clarify if he did not have it on him or if he did not have one in general, and Levitt stated he did not have a valid driver's license. He explained that his brother was the registered owner of the vehicle. When asked why he was driving without a license, Levitt advised that he was hungry. The deputy later found that Levitt and the registered owner are twin brothers with the same birthday. Dispatch also learned that he had cancellations and revocations that actively suspended his license along with a traffic-related conviction. Levitt was arrested on charge of driving while license suspended/revoked. He was transported to the Sumter County Detention Center with a bond set at $150. The Illinois native had a blood test in October 2022 that revealed his alcohol level was high during a crash in the village, as he lost his license in December 2022, and he was convicted of a DUI in November of 2023. Get your life straight, boy. You're going to end up in jail for a long time. You're going to have an accident when you're drunk. It's going to cause somebody to die or have serious injury, and they're going to pursue the case, and you're going to see stripes. On this accident here in the village, some of these pictures were sent to me by one of my subscribers. I want to thank him. I appreciate it very much. A flipped vehicle snared traffic Thursday afternoon on Buena Vista Boulevard in the Villages. The three-vehicle crash occurred at about 1 p.m. on Buena Vista Boulevard, north of County Road 466A. A man driving a Ford Edge made an abrupt lane change and failed to yield to other vehicles, according to the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. The Ford Edge struck a Honda CRV, and the CRV struck a vehicle ahead of the Ford Edge, which was a Lincoln SUV, which rolled over. The Lincoln SUV came to a rest in the northbound lane of Buena Vista Boulevard. The woman driving the CRV was transported to the HCA Florida Emergency Room at Trailwinds Village for treatment of minor injuries. The driver of the Ford Edge was cited for the improper lane change. The crash caused backups in traffic on Buena Vista Boulevard. Be careful out there, people. These pictures here is just to warn people and alarm people that are new to the Villages that this is becoming alligator mating season, and to beware, the male alligators will travel. It's not unusual to find one in your garage, so don't leave your garage doors open when you leave the home. In the spirit of alligator mating season, Ellen Lyons of the village of Hemingway shared this photograph of an alligator snoozing by a pond. A resident of the Villages was suspected of shoplifting, landed in more trouble after her car was searched. Stacy Renee Bethowitz, 40, of the village of Citrus Grove, was spotted Saturday at Walgreens at Lake Deaton Plaza when it appeared she was concealing merchandise in her purse, according to the arrest report from the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. Deputies arrived on the scene, and the stolen merchandise, in its original packaging, was spotted in plain view in her 2010 Acura sedan. A search of her vehicle turned up a vape pen with a substance that tested positive to THC. She was also in possession of pills determined to be for which she did not have a prescription. A criminal check revealed Bethowitz had been arrested in 2014 on drug charges. She was arrested on drug charges and a charge of retail theft. She was booked at the Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $5,500 bond. Dawn Rizzo remembers it was about 1 a.m. October the 10th when Hurricane Milton struck her home in the Villages. After the hurricane passed, she and her husband assessed the damage at their home at 536 Wheelock Street in the village of Osceola Hills. They began the claim process with their insurer, State Farm, the following day. They said, "I needed to secure the roof so there would be no further damage," she said. Eager to secure her home, she signed a contract with a roofer who put a tarp over her roof. The storm had passed, but things went from bad to worse for a couple. The roofer told them the roof was compromised and had to be replaced. State Farm dispatched an adjuster, whom Rizzo said was sent from out of state due to the volume of claims being filed in the wake of the hurricane. She said the adjuster told her that her 8-year-old roof had experienced normal wear and tear, and that the repair job was in order, not a replacement. She was caught off guard by the adjuster finding, "I paid my premiums. I was advised to stay with a good, reputable company. I thought it didn't get better than State Farm," Rizzo said. She found herself in a triangle of endless negotiation between State Farm, the roofer, and an attorney. Yet it got worse. An anonymous complaint was filed by Community Standards on January 16th because of the tarp on Rizzo's roof. It is so humiliating that someone can anonymously report you. Like, you didn't know this? Are you trying to say you didn't know this? "I feel like I have been made less of a person," Rizzo said. She told her story Thursday afternoon when she was called to a public hearing before the Community Development District 10 Board of Supervisors at Seabreeze Recreation Center. Her neighbors, Kenneth and Laurel Pfaffman, who live at 556 Wheelock Street, have been trapped in the same hellish triangle since the hurricane. They also have a tarp on their roof. Different insurance company, different roofer, different attorney, but the same result. Anonymous complaint filed January 16th with Community Standards. Community Standards recommended both couples be granted 30 days to resolve their roof problems. Both couples pleaded for more time. On a 4-to-1 vote, each of them got 45 days to bring their homes back into compliance. The lone dissenting vote came from Supervisor Christine Bradshaw, who said she believed each homeowner deserved at least 60 days due to the complexity of the problems they are facing. I'd almost go along with that, but it's been a long while too. Let me tell you something that I know what's going on here because I'm not in this problem. People asked me, said when I had a few shingles off, why didn't you just wait for the insurance company to take care of this? This is the reason why. I learned a long time ago how to avoid problems before they happen. I paid the $600, got it fixed. A couple weeks later, the insurance company sent me a check. I didn't want to mess with it, and I have never had a problem. Now, here's something else I found out later. CertainTeed shingles are the shingles that the villages chose to use through all of the villages. We have no choice in that. That's a contractor, developer, negotiating kind of a thing. CertainTeed put out defective shingles, the sand that's inside the shingle itself, the sand, the part that helps hold the shingle and keeps the heat. The sand, you know what I'm talking about, the sand on the surface of the shingle. It wasn't installed correctly, and I never received anything about it. I never got nothing from CertainTeed or the villages or nothing. Neighbors got their roofs replaced, and Sue was talking to them to find out that CertainTeed is paying to have a lot of this done. They're not paying the labor, but they're paying a certain amount of money for the new replacement shingles because of a factory problem. I fell into that group. Here's the thing. There's only one person here, one roofer in this whole area that is licensed and trained by CertainTeed to inspect your roof for the factory defects. I called that person. He came out with all this paperwork to file a claim to CertainTeed to get the shingles, not labor. He went up there and looked around and found out that I had defective shingles. So I just decided myself on my own that I want to have them replaced now. And I don't want to wait too long because there's going to be a time limit where that's going to go away. They will pay for a certain amount of the shingles that they're going to put on this roof. You file the claim, they'll let you know in 2, 3, 4 months from now what they will do for you. Now, I don't need the shingles right away because I had my roof taken care of a long time ago through the insurance company. Now I'm waiting. So they will probably pay for, let's say, half of the shingles. They will not pay for labor to have them put on or to have the old ones tore off. They also will not pay for the underlayment underneath of the shingle, which all of you know what that is. They also will not pay for anything on the roof that needs to be replaced because I'm having everything replaced. The air vents that goes on the roof, that's not part of the deal. So, and also the roof vents, they will not pay for that. I got to pay for all that. So I just decided, why not? Let's just get it all done, be done with it. And at least I'm good for another 10 years. By then, I'll be in my 80s. You guys won't be watching my videos anymore anyway. Maybe I'll be dead. I don't know. That might be what's happening here. State Farm is saying, well, you don't really need them replaced. The other guy is saying normal wear. Well, he's not certified by CertainTeed to determine that. Any of these people are watching me, call me, send me an email. I'll send you the guy's phone number. The only guy that is qualified from CertainTeed Shingles to inspect your shingles to see if it's a factory defect. A villager has been called out on a parking problem at his home. The case was a subject of a public hearing Friday at Savannah Center with regard to his home at 1326 Balboa Court in the San Pedro Villas. A complaint had been received January 2nd about a vehicle parking on the rock planting bed at the home of John Schaefer at 1326 Balboa Court in the San Pedro Villas. The courtyard villa is technically owned by the Patricia A. Schaefer Trust. He is her son. Photos were introduced as evidence at the hearing showing 2 vans in the driveway because there is not adequate room for both vehicles in the driveway. The right passenger side tire of one of the vans was clearly parked in a rock landscaping area. Letters were sent to community standards to the Schaefer home, and the parking problem briefly ceased on February 13th, but a fresh complaint was lodged February 19th once the vehicle was spotted back on the rock planting bed. As of an inspection Tuesday by community centers, the vehicle was still there. The board agreed to label the parking problem as a reoccurring violation. That means if the vehicle is parked in that manner again, he could face immediate fines of $500, followed by $500 daily fines until the property is brought back into compliance. Schaefer was before the board in 2024 when the paint job at the home was found to be out of compliance. In that case, the board found that the home had been painted in phases and the shades did not match. At that hearing, Schaefer said the home was painted in 2018, and he said he was dumbfounded as to why it was suddenly a problem. He was ordered to repaint the home. Schaefer was unhappy with the board's ruling and ordered that he did not want district staff setting foot on his property or contacting him by phone. Well, you're going to find out, young man, if you've not been here, that we have certain rules in different districts. Here's my advice to you so you don't get into these problems. You need to know 2 things. 1, all of the villages is what they call a complaint-based community. In other words, if nobody complains, nothing gets done. So when somebody says you can't do something, here's really the true answer to that is, you can do anything you want until somebody complains. Then they come out and inspect that complaint to see if it's true. Is it a violation in that district? They'll check all these rules. If it is, that's when you get the letter that says you have to change whatever it is. That's how it works. You don't have to like it. That's how it works. A shopper in a motorized cart rolled through Publix eating shrimp and a Snickers candy bar. Londarelle Maurice Harris, 54 of Deland, climbed into a motorized shopping cart Friday afternoon at Publix at Colony Plaza, according to a rush report of the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. As he was operating the cart, he opened and consumed a package of fried breaded shrimp and attempted to discard the packaging. He went on to select a Snickers bar. Well, you gotta have dessert. Once again attempted to get rid of the packaging after he consumed the contents. Harris also selected 2 containers of hot chili rainbow sushi and put them under 2 prescriptions that had been picked up at the Publix pharmacy. He's got some good taste. A store employee began following Harris and he was detained. The items he consumed and attempted to steal had a total value of $45.60. Harris, who has a history of drug and burglary arrests, was taken into custody on a charge of theft and booked at the Sumter County Detention Center. Bond was set at $7,500. Now, a guy sent me an email saying the reason why the bonds are so low in Sumter County is because nobody got hurt, nobody was threatened, or blah, 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 and that's why it's so... This guy never threatened nobody. This guy never did anything. This guy didn't hurt nobody. $7,500. So I don't know exactly what determines these low bonds, especially on immigrants and things like that, but I just know that these bonds, to me anyway, by reading these stories to you, because I read them for the first time as you hear them, these bonds in Sumter County seem ridiculously low compared to Lake County or Marion County on the same offense. Some people have asked me, why am I so critical of the Wildwood Commission? I'm really not critical of the Wildwood Commission. I'm critical of Wildwood Commission politics because there's a lot of political crap that goes on around here that just isn't right. And here's one of them. Redrawing district borders could help clarify residency issues for 2 Sumter County commissioners. Commissioner Don Wiley, District 5, and Andrew Bellardello, District 2, both own properties in District 4. Represented by Commissioner Jeffrey Bogue, according to the county interactive map. Wiley, who serves as county chairman, said he rents an apartment in his district and often visits his wife, who lives in a home they purchased last year in Middleton area. He put his District 5 house up for sale late last year. Bairdell owns a home near Adamsville, but his landline phone is linked to another property in Wildwood, which is in his district. He used to live in the village of Finney. His address has protected status due to his past career, but he said he lives in his district and uses the Adamsville phone as a place for visiting relatives to stay. Bellardo said his home address has been verified by the Supervisor of Elections Office. State law requires county commissioners to live in the district they represent. If they move out, they must vacate the office. At a workshop meeting earlier this week, commissioners directed County Administrator Bradley Arnold to prepare several redistricting options. Arnold said he has not started to develop those options due to a trip to Tallahassee. He said official addresses of commissioners are determined by the Supervisor of Elections Office. In other words, he's passing the buck. Wiley said the main driver for redistricting now is the county's rapid growth, not residency issues. Let's change the subject to over here. He said the Sumter County is expected to add 45,000 residents by 2030, the next scheduled time for redistricting, which is mandated every decade after the U.S. Census. Wiley said he will maintain the apartment for the rest of his term, if necessary to comply with the law. Bellardio said redistricting is needed because the population differences among districts are exceeding the 5% optimum. Due to the home construction in the village of Southern Oaks, District 4 is growing rapidly, and he said District 2 needs more people for balance. Both Wiley and Bellardello supported redistricting now. Commissioners Todd Kuhn, another one bought and paid for by the developer, Todd Kuhn. and Bogue were non-committal, and Commissioners Deb Butterfield spoke against it. So as you can see, they could come up with any excuse they want to make things right for them. A couple in the villages thanked a dispatcher for her life-saving assistance. Jim and Nancy Rader of the village of DeSoto recently visited the Sumter County Emergency Communications Center to meet Public Safety Telecommunicator, PST, Holly Charlo, the voice on the other end of a 911 call that helped Nancy save her husband's life. On October 28, 2023, Nancy Rader faced a terrifying moment when her husband Jim suddenly collapsed and went into cardiac arrest. In a state of panic, she dialed 911, where Charlo answered and immediately provided calm, step-by-step instructions on how to perform CPR. With Charlotte's guidance, Nancy was able to keep chest compressions going for approximately 6 minutes, buying critical time until the village's public safety department arrived to take over advanced life-saving care. It was an honor meeting Jim and Nancy in person after such a life-changing event, said Charlo. To know that the guidance I provided helped save a life is incredibly humbling. We don't always get to hear the outcome of our cause, so meeting them and seeing Jim healthy was truly special. It's why we do what we do. Nancy Rader said she will never forget the voice that guided her through one of the scariest moments of her life. I will forever be grateful for Holly's guidance. She walked me through every step and gave me the hope I needed to keep going until help arrived. Well, thanks for that letter, and thanks, Holly, for being there for this lady and her husband. We always complain about the price of things. We always complain about the budget of things until something like this happens, and you know what? Nobody ever asks how much. Well, how many holes in ones of golf did we get this week? Looks like one. A Village of Chatham man was thrilled to get his fourth hole-in-one. Clarence Lee got a lucky ace on Thursday, March 13th at hole number 3 at the Southern Star Executive Golf Course at 135 yards with a 4 hybrid. I like those hybrids. Well, congratulations on your hole-in-one, Clarence. Keep swinging those hybrids. Okay, how about we have some of everybody's favorites? Letters to the editor. To the editor, I was just at Haciendas of Mission Hills Pool. A Parks and Recreation employee showed up to check ID cards. The woman next to me told him she forgot her ID card. He didn't ask her name, address, or anything else. He just said, bring your ID next time. He didn't ask her to leave. Nobody in the water was asked to show their IDs. How is this adequate control of those people using the village's pools? I'm sure people who aren't supposed to be there either say, I forgot my ID card, or just get into the water when a Parks and Recreation employee shows up. That's sent in by Kenneth Mann from the village of Della Vista West. Well, Kenneth, if you've been here at any length of time, they have never been allowed to ask anybody to get out of the pool to show ID cards. That's been an ongoing debate, especially in the family pools where children are basically dropped off, and they're educated that when you see the lady or the man come around with the little box, jump in the pool. They know. As far as ID cards are asking them, they say if you see anybody that you don't think supposed to be there, you're supposed to call down to your local neighborhood recreational center. I don't know what it is there, but you're supposed to call down there. You tell them, and they're supposed to come down and check ID cards. This has been a complaint for a long time. To the editor, I'm not at all excited about Hooters in the villages. Maybe they have changed, but as a retired professional lady, I do not think highly of scantily clad ladies waiting on me. I have visited a Hooters near Treasure Island in Florida and was not impressed with the menu choices. Yes, I wish I looked like some of those girls, but jealousy does not play a role in my liking or disliking this sort of restaurant. I always felt proud that the Villages is in a different class, which I consider a more upper class. I'm not a snob, but I think this diminishes our reputation. What reputation would that be, young lady? The one with the STDs running rampant around here? The one where they have loofahs for those who's looking? How about the key parties that keep going around? There's all kinds of reputations about the Villages. The Hooters is the least likely of those to be a problem. To the editor, I am ticked off. I live in the Villages of Alhambra and have put a Green Bay Packer sticker on my mailbox to have ease of identity. Not once, but twice. Someone has taken upon themselves to remove them. Being a born and raised Green Bay Packer fan, I find it extremely offensive. If that's all you got to worry about, life's pretty good. I can root for my team, and I do so, as is my rights. It's in the Bill of Rights. You look in the Bill of Rights about freedom of choice, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom to worship the Green Bay Packers. It's in there. Stop removing my stickers. I will be asking our postal worker about surveillance camera footage to identify who the culprit is. It isn't your right to remove what is mine. I promise you my strong opinion should I find out who you are. The USPS doesn't frown on this practice, but perhaps you should grow up and learn that the Villages has many different NFL affiliations. That's sent in by Ellen Lambert from the Village of Alhambra. That's funny. Well, I can tell you, Ellen, it hasn't been that many years ago. They were in uproar about it, but the postal station tells us that having anything on the mailbox is against their rules. And they hired a company once. Gosh, I wish I could remember how long ago it's been. 8 years ago, 9 years ago. You'll have to maybe Google it. Maybe you'll find it. And an outside company came in with a high pressure washer, and they went down through all the postal stations in a certain district. I forget what district it was. I want to say District 8. And they pressure washed all the mailboxes and cleaned off everything that was on there and said having stickers on the mailbox was against the postal rules. That's all I know. I understand why you put them on there, because you can find it. These things are so small. They're from high to low, and sometimes they're difficult to find. And you can't hardly read the number on the mailbox. So I understand why you're doing it, but I get it. But you might want to double check. You might find out that the postal worker herself or himself took it off. But thanks for sending those comments in. Okay, I think that's going to be the news this week. And I do appreciate you guys coming to the news. I appreciate you guys subscribing to the news and subscribing to my channel, making the comments, giving the thumbs up. Those are important things that helps the channel grow. If you got friends that might be interested in this, get them to subscribe and watch the videos. If you got any comments, leave them below. You got any information you want to send me, my emails are in the description box below, and you can send me that stuff on the email. I also have a P.O. box. Somebody sent me an email the other day. I'm only bringing this up. I haven't brought that up in a long time. He said they wanted to send me a hat or something. I forget. I said, what's your address? Well, I sent them the P.O. box, but in the description box below, find it. There's a P.O. box in there, and that P.O. box has my mailing address. So if you want to mail something, that's fine. It's all down there for your convenience. Also, that little "Don't Leave Your Key in a Golf Cart" song, that was sent to me by one of my subscribers. I'll see if I can find his name. I don't really know if I got it. I'm sorry about that. I should have put his name at least on one or two of the videos so you'll know who done that. So if you're interested in having something done, you can get in contact with them. Maybe they can do something for you. But I didn't ask for that. He made it up. He sent it to me and said, what do you think? I said, I like it. I said, can I post that on some of my videos once in a while? He said, have at it. So that's what I'm doing. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the little things like that my subscribers send me and give me and all that kind of thing. It means a lot. It really does. It shows me that somebody's listening, somebody's watching, somebody cares, and somebody's appreciating what we do here. And so with all that, Patreon members, YouTube members, I hope you enjoyed the lunch we had a couple, 3 weeks ago. It was great. I enjoyed it. I'm sorry I didn't get to everybody. With that being said, be well, be safe, stay aware, be alert,
and don't leave your key in that golf cart.
This week's news is brought to you by my YouTube and Patreon members.